I ripped up my wife's divorce papers. The author of the post is listed in the description. Me, 27M, and my wife, 31F, hit a rough spot and have been separated at home for almost a year now. It was largely my fault. After a big setback and my father's death, I fell into alcoholism and despair, stopped taking care of myself, and neglected her when not emotionally abused her. Eventually, she had enough, and after I refused therapy for the nth time, consulted a divorce lawyer and drafted papers. I signed them off right away, but she didn't, keeping them in her room. She knew I was in a hard spot financially, so she said she'd wait for me to come into my inheritance so I could move out, and then she'd sign and file for a no-fault divorce. Not from the US, in our country you can do this. After 2 months sleeping in my home office, I got sick of it and stopped drinking, dived into work, and overall did chores around the house and helped her out. When she commented on my change, I boasted I was doing it for myself and not for her, and she agreed because while she wanted me out, she still cared for me. Over the last months, she also occasionally asked me to sleep in the bed with her and not in my home office. Nothing intimate happened, but still she would spoon me. This until last evening. We had gotten closer and closer, especially over the holidays, and I told her that what I said was not true. I had changed and stopped drinking to show her at first, but then I really wanted to turn over a new leaf and be a good soon-to-be ex-husband. She went to her room and picked the divorce papers, setting them in front of me. She asked what we should do with those then, so I ripped them and she yelled out a big "yes" and then hugged me. So I guess we won't be getting divorced. Hooray! Comments before update. Commenter: your wife is a keeper. Guard her with your life and don't ever break her heart. Good luck, bro. My answer: I will, thank you. I was so deep down in negativity that I couldn't see how I hurt her. To add, I may sound neutral, uncaring by the tone of the post, but I really didn't expect what happened, what I did, and how she'd react. We had talked a bit previously about this, and all she said is that she was in no hurry to divorce as long as I was respectful and kept improving. I had a hunch she wanted to try and reconcile, but she was already being so generous to me that I didn't want to try and push my luck. And I admit it feels weird that we can be husband and wife again. I guess it will take some time after over a year as roommates. Another commenter: just to add, she likely wanted the changes, but wanted them to be motivated changes not based on a threat. OP making the changes, even after signing the papers, shows the changes are for himself and likely to stick, even if it was to be a good soon-to-be ex-husband. Very different than proving you should be a keeper. Still, kudos all around. My answer: thank you. She was ready to go through with it because even if she loves me, she couldn't keep enduring me hurting both myself and her emotionally and morally, and I think she was right to do that. It still feels weird to be sleeping in the same bed every night and be affectionate. We haven't been intimate at all during separation, and she hinted she wants to reconnect too on that level. Another commenter: take things slow. Show her intimacy, not sex. Learn to be best friends, whether for the first time or again. Confide in her and listen. Really listen when she confides in you. Share your thoughts and emotions with her. You don't have to grieve alone, and I don't think she ever wanted you to. Emo, there's nothing sexier than a guy who is in touch with himself enough that he will cry in front of his girl. Let her know you trust her enough to share that with her. And it's okay to let her hold you while you grieve. You don't have to be the strong one all the time. You should each be able to feel your individual pain and be comforted. My answer: you are right. I definitely need to learn to be more open emotionally, and I'm working on it in therapy. Also, when we hug or cuddle, I admit to her that it feels a bit weird, but also pleasant and fuzzy after so much time. She just reassures me that for those things we have all the time in the world. But she also said no hurry and take things at our pace. Another commenter: eventually she had enough, and after I refused therapy for the nth time, this is the actual step you need to take. Therapy. You're an alcoholic coming out of a major depressive episode. This won't be the last depressive episode, nor will it be the last relapse. Don't let the honeymoon period blind you to what's really happening. You have a golden opportunity to save your marriage. Start doing the real work. My answer: you are absolutely right. I am doing therapy now. Where it transpired, I was swapping alcoholism for workaholism. So now we are trying to find a healthy ground because that in the long run would undo all the progress so far. Update 5 days later. Hello everyone. I posted a week ago about what had happened the evening prior. After living separate at home for almost a year, my soon-to-be ex-wife wanted to reconcile, so I ripped the divorce papers in front of her to her delight. However, soon after the realization that I had planned my whole new year around the fact I was getting divorced set in, and that the decision of reconciliation actually brought me uncertainty and anxiety. My wife noticed that, and we had a number of heart-to-heart about this. There was talking, laughs, and even tears during those talks, tears of the good, liberatory kind. My wife rarely, if almost never, cries. She's the stoic type. But seeing her break into tears, sobbing how much I hurt her and she still loves me, was like getting stabbed in the heart. I realized the pain I caused her is still fresh and burning. She unloaded all the pain and turmoil I had inflicted upon her with my past behavior and admitted she felt both proud and bitter about my changes in the last year. Proud because I turned my life around, bitter because I had accepted the divorce so quickly, as if she was what was holding me back and she wasn't worth my best self. However, she was also angry at herself because she was already reconsidering the divorce back in June, but didn't say anything or gave me signals because she feared I'd revert to my old behavior or would rebuff her. In the meantime, I had started to renovate my father's old villa. Well, more of a big house than a proper mansion, to move in this year and gave her only breadcrumbs information about it. And she was both positively surprised to learn about all the work I am putting into it, and again a bit bitter that I didn't tell her anything and all my projects were designed without her in mind, as if she was just an already fading memory. The possibility of an amicable divorce has been brought up again, but she wanted two clear answers. 1. Was there another woman? 2. Did I actually stop loving her? The answer to both questions is no. I told her I did suffer about losing her and our marriage, but I didn't want to be the ex-husband who made fleeting promises, hounded her down, and made a nuisance of herself. It's the least I could have done after making her suffer so much, and also thank her for her infinite kindness. I just worked, did my best to be a good soon-to-be ex-husband, paid my utilities, and wanted to pay her a rent for the room she allocated me in her home, which she always refused, even when I insisted. Eventually arrived the $1 million question. Do we want this marriage to work? Answer, yes. It won't be easy, and there's still a lot of work to be done. We agreed to take baby steps and have already booked couple therapy for this week. I'm already doing individual therapy, but now she'll be looking for individual therapy for herself as well. In the last week, we went on some quiet dates, walks, and a short hiking trip. I also made a peace offering of sorts by asking her if she wanted to participate in my renovation project of my father's house, give her input and ideas. She was enthusiastic about it. She likes gardening, but her property has no garden and she makes do with the potted plants on the balcony, while my father's house has a large garden and a big plot of overgrown land behind it. She said we will be busting our backs, but it will be worth it, and I think that working together on a shared project will help re-establishing our bond. So that's where we stand now. The road is still long and difficult, but I am hopeful. I wish to sincerely thank all the Redditor who gave me their insights, comments, praises, and criticism. New updates. Little changed in the last week. We had our first couple counseling session and her first therapy session. We laid down the framework for our marriage, went out on some dates, and overall spent quality time together. We still haven't been intimate. She tried to initiate once, but I gently turned it into cuddling and talking. Another issue is that I have some difficulty sleeping in the same bed as her. Not because I have something against her, but I'm so used in sleeping in my own bed that often I sleep 1 or 2 hours with her, wake up and head to my home office bedroom and sleep there. I wake up earlier and fix breakfast for her. She's happy about it, but mentioned once I didn't sleep with her. Do those things take time? I believe so, but I'm a bit scared I'm giving the impression I gave up on our marriage. I believe it will take months and lots of work to get back at how we were, while she thinks the process should be quicker, and I'm being too hard on myself and her. Comments. Commenter. In the Dead Bedroom subreddit, people have discussed how you lose sexual familiarity with someone and may feel uninterested or repulsed. You might have to rebuild it like you're new to each other and dating. In some ways, you're not the same people anymore as when you first met. Mini update. Things are not easy, but overall they are going well, both in therapy and everyday life. There's still some issues in getting intimate, but we are getting there. Sometimes, though, the shame and guilt become too much, and I wonder, why is she even staying with me? Maybe sunk costs? I do my best. Little gifts, dates, cooking her favorite dishes, picking up chores. But to me, it always feels like I could do more. Sometimes she notices this and says to take it easy. She says I try too hard sometimes and it comes off as artificial. She likes that now I'm all smiles, always shaved, well-dressed and gentlemanly with her, but joked that sometimes I look like the president of her country of origin. I'm doing my best, though, even at the cost of overdoing it. Comments. Commenter. You should really talk to a therapist and get longitudinal guidance. You're doing too much and it will come across as cringe and overbearing. My answer? We are doing therapy, but so far it's still very early. I was very apathic about everything, so now I try my best to be enthusiastic about things. She usually likes it, but once I made a dance step, she laughed, but also said, "What the hell was that?" Next update. I've been sober for over a year and got sober after she served me divorce papers. She decided to try to reconcile last January, and although things have been not easy to say the least, we still sleep separately. I don't feel secure enough to have sex with her, and we do lots of individual and couple therapy. We somehow are managing. However, despite what she says, I can't get over the shame that I have been a useless and abusive drunkard, and she probably remembers me as such. And the shame and guilt become unbearable. I work as a civil servant, in family services, ironically enough, and recently I got moved to the cabinet in the provincial government, even had a photo shaking hands with our prime minister. My wife picked this photo and put it on Facebook for everyone to see, writing how proud she was. I do think she genuinely believes this, and I'm happy, but I also think she's too eager to rug sweep the past and our problems aren't fixed at all. I still feel lots of shame and guilt towards her every time I look at her, and at a certain point even looked forward to divorce. But she insists I am doing all the right things, and if I love her, divorce would be something I'll end up regretting. I just feel we will never overcome this. And although many moments are happy and I do my best to give her quality time, cook her favorite dishes and get her gifts, I can't help but feel hopeless and even alone in my feelings. She wants for us to move on, but while for her it might be easy to forgive me, for me, it's not easy to let go of the shame of what I was to her. My therapist says I have to deal with it on my own as I caused all this, and I agree, but I don't know how to move forward. Is there something I can do, or should I learn to accept this and live with it? Maybe with time it will get better? After all, a year sober is almost nothing. Comments. Commenter. Get a new therapist. He told you, you're on your own? That sounds a bit unethical. Your wife loves you and wants you to heal. She is doing everything she can, it seems, to help you towards that goal. Seems you need to forgive yourself before you make a decision about your relationship. My answer? Somewhat. She told me to get a grip in those feelings, or I'll end up self-sabotaging and ruining everything. Another commenter. That doesn't sound like she said you're on your own at all. Sometimes we need the help of others to get a grip. Next update. 2 months later, things are going lukewarmly well. Talks of reinitiating divorce proceedings have stopped. And although we still sleep separately and have no intimacy, my issues, working on it with my therapist, we are doing well. Sometimes I feel I can't get over the shame that I have been a useless and abusive drunkard, and she probably remembers me as such, and the shame and guilt become unbearable, but then it passes a bit. Basically, we are starting over. Dating, doing bonding activities, I get her gifts and surprises. She admitted she thought things would go faster, but in the end agrees with me that after a year separated, things can't just get back as before. She also says I'm too hard on myself, but I think she's the one being too indulgent. But apart from those difficulties, we are doing fine. How do you like this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Love you.